You know the drill. You've just spent, 3 hours wandering through the Louvre or the Met.
Right.
You've had this incredible spiritual moment in front of a Renaissance masterpiece. You're filled with the profundity of human history.
Oh, yeah. Totally overwhelmed by it all.
Exactly. And then to actually get out of the building, you are forced to navigate this maze of rubber erasers and fridge magnets.
The infamous exit through the gift shop.
Yes. Tote bags that say, I love art and Comic Sans. It's unavoidable.
It really is. It's practically a law of physics in the tourism world.
It really is. But I've been reading through this massive stack of reports you sent over for today's deep dive. We're talking the latest 2026 data from Technavio Research and Markets, the Museum Store Association.
Ooh, when I say, yeah.
Right, and catalog updates from major suppliers like Crystocraft. And it really looks like that old stereotype of the cheap gift shop is, well, it's finally dead. We aren't looking at bins of cheap plastic anymore.
No, not at all.
We're looking at this multi-billion-dollar, high-tech, surprisingly wellness-obsessed ecosystem.
It's a complete pivot. I mean, the gift shop isn't just an afterthought anymore. It's not just a tax on parents.
Right.
In 2026, the retail footprint is arguably becoming the main event of the experience economy.
Okay, that is a massive claim. You're saying the shop is becoming as important as the actual exhibit.
In terms of revenue and engagement, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We are seeing a shift where the souvenir is no longer just, stuff. It's about smart memories, deep personalization,
Yeah, and mental health, apparently, which we'll get into.
yeah, surprisingly, mental health.
Okay, so smart memories sounds like a classic marketing buzzword. I definitely want to unpack that. But first, let's establish the sheer scale here. Because the numbers in that Technavia report, they actually shocked me.
They are staggering.
Right. They're projecting the general gifts, novelty, and souvenirs market to grow by over $20 billion by 2029.
Yeah, that's a compound annual growth rate, a CGR of 4.6%.
Yeah.
That is incredibly healthy, steady growth.
It is.
But if you drill down into the specific museum's market report from Research and Markets, that sector alone is hitting nearly $70 billion in 2026.
70 billion. That is a lot of postcards.
Well, that's just it. It isn't postcards.
Right.
If it were just postcards, hitting 70 billion would be mathematically impossible. The volume is being driven by the travel rebound, sure. We saw international arrivals jump by 300 million in Q1 2025 alone.
People are definitely moving again.
Exactly. But the reason they are spending money has fundamentally changed. And it's really being driven by millennials and Gen Z.
See, the reports keep pointing to millennials and Gen Z as the drivers, but I feel like we blame Gen Z for literally every market shift. Is this real, or is it just lazy analysis?
No, it's real in this case, and here's why. It comes down to what Technavio calls alternative modes of social expression.
Which is a very dry, academic way of saying Instagram and TikTok.
Precisely. Think about the function of a souvenir 20 years ago. You bought the little Eiffel Tower keychain to prove you went to Paris.
Right, it was a status signal.
Exactly. Today, a selfie does that for free, it does it instantly, and it reaches way more people.
So the physical object has totally lost its utility as a brag. If I can just post a photo from the exhibit, I don't need the branded mousepad.
Yes, that is the existential crisis of the souvenir industry right there. If the digital flex is free, the physical object has to offer something the screen cannot. It has to offer depth.
And this is where the tech integration comes in. This was the part of the research that really clicked for me, the idea of the smart souvenir.
It's fascinating.
Now, when I hear smart, I usually assume it means, it needs a firmware update and it's going to break in a week.
Right, another useless gadget.
Exactly.
Fortunately, this is a bit more elegant. We aren't talking about putting a glowing screen on a keychain. We are talking about embedded utility.
Okay.
Look at the supplier Crystocraft. They have this line of zinc alloy enamel items. Pins, keychains, really high-end looking metalwork.
Yeah, I saw the catalog photos for those. They look like traditional, heavy, expensive pins, like a bust of Mozart, the Austrian eagle, that kind of thing.
Visually, yes, they look totally classic, but they have an NFC chip embedded right inside the metal.
Near-field communication. So I don't even need to scan a QR code.
No, and that's a crucial distinction. QR codes are, well, they're ugly.
They ruin the design.
Exactly, and they require you to open a camera app. This is just tap and go. You buy the pin, you take it home, and you tap your phone against it.
Just tap the metal.
Yep, and suddenly that pin becomes a portal. It launches a 3D tour of the museum you visited, or a high-def video of the opera performance you just saw, or an exclusive Instagram story.
See, that totally changes the value proposition for me. I'm not just buying a piece of metal, I'm buying a key.
Exactly. It's a physical key to a digital memory. The Museum of London was actually experimenting with this way back in 2011.
Wow, 2011.
Yeah, they were way ahead of the curve. But it's only now, in 2026, that the tech is cheap enough and ubiquitous enough to be scalable. You see the Vienna State Opera doing this now? They link a physical Mozart souvenir directly to a digital clip of the aria.
It solves that dust gathering problem. Usually a souvenir sits on a shelf and basically dies. This makes it dynamic. But I'm wondering about the business side. Why do the museums actually love this?
Retention. Pure and simple.
Oh, because it keeps you hooked.
Yeah. If I sell you a postcard, our transaction is over. If I sell you an NFC pin that links to a digital platform, I can update that content. I can push a notification. I can keep you engaged with the museum 6 months after you've flown home.
It turns a one-time visitor into a subscriber. It's like the saucification of the gift shop. Software as a souvenir.
Software as a souvenir, I like that.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just tapping phones. The MSA listed augmented reality as one of their top 5 trends for 2025 and moving into 2026.
AR has been the quote-unquote next big thing for a decade. Is it actually sticking this time?
In this context, yes, because it layers magic on top of the mundane. You point your phone at a postcard and painting animates. You point it at a dinosaur toy from the Natural History Museum, and it roars and walks around your living room.
I saw the Blue Loop notes on mixed reality parks, too. Companies like Meow Wolf teaming up with Niantic.
The Pokemon Go creators.
Right. That feels like a step further, where the souvenir actually interacts with the space while you are still there.
That's the gamification aspect.
Yeah.
If your souvenir unlocks a secret room or triggers a special light show in the physical park, it's not just a product anymore.
It's a tool.
Exactly. It changes how you experience the architecture itself.
So on one side, we have this high-tech sci-fi integration. But looking at the catalogs from the Kunsthistorisches Museum in Vienna, the KHM, or the Louvre, there is a completely different trend happening simultaneously. And it feels surprisingly old school.
I mean, the premium pricing.
The prices and the materials. I'm looking at the KHM price list here. They have a calendula brooch for 99 euros. A Triumph of Bacchus tray for 35 euros.
Yeah.
I mean, these aren't impulse buys you grab while waiting in line for the exit.
This is what Technavio calls the premiumization of the market.
Premiumization.
Right. It is the direct counter-reaction to that cheap plastic era we talked about.
Yeah.
As consumers, if we are going to buy a physical object in a predominantly digital world, we want it to feel permanent. We want weight. We want craftsmanship.
It's that feeling of, I don't want more stuff. I want better stuff.
Precisely. Crystocraft has this material they're heavily pushing right now called crystal fabric.
Okay, what is that?
It's microcut crystals integrated directly into a luminous surface. They're using it on high-end corporate gifts, MagSafe wallet stands, that sort of thing.
Okay.
It's functional, but it sparkles. It has this jewelry-like quality. It signals status.
It's a flex.
Total flex.
But there's another layer to this premium trend that I think is even more interesting, and that's personalization. Technavio highlights it as a key driver.
Yes. This is a huge opportunity for museums.
Yeah.
Historically, a museum shop had to just guess what people wanted.
Yeah.
They'd order 5,000 mugs with Bort on them and hope for the best.
And then they're stuck with 4,000 Bort mugs in a warehouse.
Exactly. The MSA highlights on-demand personalization as a major shift. It changes the math entirely.
How so?
Now, you browse a digital catalog in the shop, pick the specific art reproduction you want on a tote bag or a piece of jewelry, and it's shipped directly to your house.
Oh, so you don't even have to carry it on the plane.
Right, and the museum doesn't have to carry the inventory risk.
That makes so much sense. But there's also this concept of co-creation. I've seen this popping up in the research.
For workshops.
Yeah, workshops where you actually make the souvenir yourself.
This is essentially the IKEA effect applied to luxury experiences. Psychology tells us you value something more if you helped create it.
Right.
So you go to a ceramics exhibit and then you head to the shop and paint your own tile. Or you design your own tote bag using motifs from the collection.
It cements the memory because you didn't just passively visit the museum. You contributed to it. You have skin in the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that willingness to invest time and slow down leads us to another massive trend. One I honestly didn't expect to see in a museum retail report.
Oh, the wellness pivot.
Yes, the Green Museum.
Yeah, I saw that. The MSA is literally telling gift shops to stop calming herbal teas, art-inspired aromatherapy, mindfulness books.
It sounds odd at first, doesn't it? Like, here's a Monet, would you like some chamomile?
Exactly. It feels totally disconnected.
But think about why people are traveling in 2026. Yes, they want to see art. But the world is loud, it's chaotic, people are completely burnt out. The Global Wellness Institute values the wellness economy at over $1.5 trillion.
Wow.
Museums are waking up to the fact that they are actually
The
sanctuaries.
quiet spaces,
Yeah.
contemplation, beauty. It makes perfect sense when you frame it like that. It's an escape.
So the souvenir needs to reflect that state of mind.
Yeah.
Crystocraft has this aroma diffuser collection now.
I saw those.
Yeah, it's a sculpted crystal figurine, but it's paired with an aroma stone.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't just buying a little statue.
Yeah.
You were buying a mood. You're buying the calming atmosphere of the museum to take back to your stressful apartment.
Basically, I want my living room to smell like the Renaissance.
Well, maybe not the actual Renaissance. Sanitation wasn't exactly great back then.
Fair point, fair point.
But the romanticized idea of it, sure. The calmness of a curated garden.
Speaking of gardens, blue loop notes, that's a huge physical trend for museums too. The green spaces trend.
Oh, massive. The Natural History Museum in London attracted 5 million visitors to their new gardens alone.
Just the gardens.
Just the gardens. And the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam is investing heavily in a public sculpture garden. It completely changes the visitor flow. And crucially, it changes the values of the shopper.
How does it change their values?
Well, if I've just spent 2 hours connecting with nature in a museum garden, enjoying the biodiversity, I am not going to walk into the shop and buy a cheap plastic toy wrapped in 3 layers of non-recyclable cellophane.
Oh, the cognitive dissonance would be way too high. You'd feel incredibly guilty.
Exactly. The MSA notes that 80% of Gen Z care deeply about sustainable sourcing. So the Green Museum needs green souvenirs. Eco-friendly, ethically sourced materials.
The souvenir has to match the morality of the visitor.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered tech, luxury, and wellness, but I want to pivot to something that takes consuming the experience very literally.
Oh, immersive dining.
Yes, food as a souvenir. I read that Disneyland Paris opened a fine dining restaurant where you can actually eat the poison apple from Snow White.
They did.
Which, I mean, I have real questions about the branding meeting for that one. Oh, hey kids, eat this lethal fruit.
It's definitely daring, but it works because it's a story you can literally taste.
And then there's fork and film. This concept blows my mind. You watch a movie, say Mean Girls or Alice in Wonderland, and the exact moment a dish appears on screen, a waiter places that exact dish in front of you.
It's total sensory synchronization.
Yeah.
You are literally consuming the media as it happens.
But is that actually a souvenir? I mean, you eat it and it's gone.
In the experience economy, yes,
And then-
absolutely.
What?
The word souvenir literally just means to remember. If the memory of eating that poison apple is stronger and more shareable than the memory of looking at a plastic keychain, then the food was objectively the better souvenir.
It's ephemeral, though, which I guess makes it exclusive. It's a real you-had-to-be-there moment.
And you had to be there
Yeah.
is the perfect transition to the absolute wildest frontier in these reports.
AI.
Artificial intelligence. It is changing how we interact with exhibits before we even think about buying a souvenir.
We are seeing AI move from just back-end logistics to front-of-house experiences.
Yes.
The Dolly Museum has this thing called Ask Dolly.
Oh, the lobster telephone.
Yes. You pick up a replica of his famous lobster phone, and you talk to an AI that's been trained on his philosophy and his actual voice.
It's incredible tech. You ask it a question and it answers in his voice, using his bizarre, surrealist logic.
It is equal parts amazing and honestly terrifying. It's like a digital seance.
It really is. And it's not just Dolly. The China Science and Tech Museum uses AI-powered assistance for educational outreach.
The Rijksmuseum has that Art Explorer AI tool.
Exactly, to collect and compare artworks. But then you look at Dataland.
Rafik Anadol's project.
Yes, the world's first AI art museum. It uses what they call a large nature model to generate art in real time based on live data.
So here is my question, and this is where my brain starts to hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
If the museum is generating brand new art every single second, what is the souvenir?
Right.
Do I buy a print of a hallucination that only existed for 5 seconds?
That is the multi-million-dollar question the industry is wrestling with right now, because it completely blurs the line between the creator and the consumer.
Yeah.
If you interact with the AI and change the art, did the museum make the souvenir or did you make the souvenir?
It creates this incredibly unique provenance. Like, I was there at 2:04 p.m. when the AI decided to paint blue clouds.
Exactly. It creates infinite scarcity. Every single print is a one of one.
It feels like we are sprinting toward a very high-tech, very abstract future. But looking at the trend list from Blue Loop, there's a massive anchor dragging us back in the other direction.
Nostalgia.
The retro trend.
It's the inevitable pendulum swing.
Right.
We have too much AI, too many screens, too much smart everything, so we naturally crave the analog. We crave the mechanical.
I saw a mention of Retro Escapes. It's a theme park with lands based entirely on the 50s through the 90s.
Yeah.
And Teletubbies raves.
At Area 15 in Vegas. It's highly specific,
Very specific.
but it taps into this primal need for simplicity, for things we understand.
And it sells. The report calls these S&N items souvenirs and novelty, things that just remind us of simpler times.
Look at what Crystocraft is releasing for their 2026 collection.
The music boxes.
Yes, you cannot get more analog than a wind-up music box.
Just clockwork, mechanical. No NFC chips, no Wi-Fi, no data collection.
It grounds us.
Hmm.
And I think that's really the synthesis of all these different reports.
How so?
We want the smart features, the NFC chips, to make things convenient and magical. But we also want the retro features, the music boxes, the heavy metal pins, to make us feel safe and connected to the physical world.
So, pulling this all together for everyone listening, we've really gone from the exit gift shop being this generic, almost punishing retail space.
It's just a maze to get through.
Right, to a sophisticated storytelling engine.
It's a massive spectrum of opportunity now. On one end, you have the NFC pin that acts as a digital portal. On the other end, you have a wellness stone or a music box that just grounds you in the moment.
And the common thread here is that none of these are just plain objects anymore. They're all trying to extend the narrative of your visit.
They're a sequel. The Souvenir is basically the sequel to the visit.
I really like that framing. But here's a thought that's been nagging me since I first read about the NFC chips and the AI art.
Okay.
As these souvenirs become smart and they link to all this cloud-based content, do we actually own the memory anymore?
Oh, that's the truly provocative question.
Right, because if the server goes down in 2030, does my Mozart pin just stop working?
Probably, yes.
Am I just buying a physical key to a digital subscription that can be canceled at any time?
It's the inherent risk of the digital age.
Yeah.
You know, you don't own the movie anymore. You just own the license to stream it. Now, you don't own the souvenir. You own the access to the experience.
And with places like Dataland, maybe the museum designs the souvenir, or maybe the AI generates it based on your mood. It just feels like the definition of ownership is changing just as fast as the definition of a museum.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
And for you, as a consumer, it means you really have to decide, do you want the permanent physical object, or do you want the ongoing access?
Definitely something for you to think about the next time you're walking toward the exit of an exhibit. Take a closer look at those shelves. It's clearly not just magnets anymore. It's a real-time laboratory of modern consumer psychology.
It might just be the most interesting room in the whole building.
It really might. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We'll catch you in the next one.